爱惜
To cherish, to treasure.
爱惜
To cherish, to treasure.
爱心
Love, compassion.
爱心
Love, compassion.
岸
Bank, shore, coast.
岸
Bank, shore, coast.
岸
Dark, dim.
岸
Dark, dim.
把握
Assurance, confidence.
把握
Assurance, confidence.
办理
To handle, to deal with.
办理
To handle, to deal with.
包含
To contain, to include.
包含
To contain, to include.
薄
Thin,
薄
thin.
保留
To reserve, to save.
保留
To reserve, to save.
保险
Insurance,
保险
insurance.
报告
Report,
报告
report.
报社
Newspaper office, headquarters of a newspaper.
报社
Newspaper office, headquarters of a newspaper.
悲伤
Sad, sorrowful.
悲伤
Sad, sorrowful.
本科
Undergraduate education.
本科
Undergraduate education.
本质
Essence, nature, intrinsic quality.
本质
Essence, nature, intrinsic quality.
比例
Proportion, scale.
比例
Proportion, scale.
必然
Inevitable, certain.
必然
Inevitable, certain.
编辑
Editor,
编辑
editor.
标志
Sign, mark.
标志
Sign, mark.
冰激凌
Ice cream,
冰激凌
ice cream.
玻璃
Glass,
玻璃
glass.
不断
Continuously, unceasingly.
不断
Continuously, unceasingly.
不见得
Not necessarily, may not.
不见得
Not necessarily, may not.
补充
To supplement, to replenish.
补充
To supplement, to replenish.
不安
Upset, disturbed.
不安
Upset, disturbed.
不然
Or else otherwise.
不然
Or else otherwise.
不如
To be not as good as, to be inferior to.
不如
To be not as good as, to be inferior to.
步骤
Step, procedure.
步骤
Step, procedure.
部门
Department, section.
部门
Department, section.
采访
To interview.
采访
To interview.
参考
To consult to refer to.
参考
To consult to refer to.
操心
To worry about to be concerned about.
操心
To worry about to be concerned about.
测
Volume.
测
Volume.
测验
To test.
测验
To test.
常识
Common knowledge.
常识
Common knowledge.
潮
Towards.
潮
Towards.
潮湿
Wet, moist.
潮湿
Wet, moist.
潮
To stir fry.
潮
To stir fry.
彻底
Thorough, complete.
彻底
Thorough, complete.
沉默
To be silent.
沉默
To be silent.
趁
To take advantage of, to do, at the time when.
趁
To take advantage of, to do, at the time when.
称呼
To call, to address, form of address.
称呼
To call, to address, form of address.
称赞
To praise, to commend.
称赞
To praise, to commend.
成分
Element, component, ingredient.
成分
Element, component, ingredient.
成立
To establish, to set up.
成立
To establish, to set up.
成人
Adult.
成人
Adult.
成长
To grow up.
成长
To grow up.
承担
To undertake, to shoulder.
承担
To undertake, to shoulder.
承认
To admit, to acknowledge.
承认
To admit, to acknowledge.
承受
To bear, to endure.
承受
To bear, to endure.
池塘
Pond.
池塘
Pond.
翅膀
Wing.
翅膀
Wing.
出版
To publish.
出版
To publish.
出色
Remarkable, outstanding.
出色
Remarkable, outstanding.
出示
To show, to produce.
出示
To show, to produce.
出席
To attend, to be present.
出席
To attend, to be present.
初级中学
Junior high school.
初级中学
Junior high school.
除非
Only if unless.
除非
Only if unless.
处理
To handle, to deal with.
处理
To handle, to deal with.
床
To go around to accomplish certain goals.
床
To go around to accomplish certain goals.
吹
To boast, to brag.
吹
To boast, to brag.
次要
Less important, secondary.
次要
Less important, secondary.
刺激
To stimulate, to excite.
刺激
To stimulate, to excite.
从此
From then on, since then.
从此
From then on, since then.
从事
To engage in.
从事
To engage in.
粗糙
Rough, crude.
粗糙
Rough, crude.
促进
To promote, to accelerate.
促进
To promote, to accelerate.
促使
To urge, to spur, to prompt.
促使
To urge, to spur, to prompt.
醋
Vinegar.
醋
Vinegar.
答应
To agree, to promise.
答应
To agree, to promise.
大厦
Large building, mansion.
大厦
Large building, mansion.
大型
Large scale.
大型
Large scale.
担任
To serve as, to hold the post of.
担任
To serve as, to hold the post of.
单纯
Simple, mere.
单纯
Simple, mere.
单调
Monotonous, dull.
单调
Monotonous, dull.
单独
Alone, by oneself.
单独
Alone, by oneself.
单位
Company, employer.
单位
Company, employer.
耽误
To delay, to spoil through delay.
耽误
To delay, to spoil through delay.
岛屿
Island.
岛屿
Island.
倒霉
Having bad luck, unlucky.
倒霉
Having bad luck, unlucky.
到达
To reach, to arrive.
到达
To reach, to arrive.
道德
Morality, ethics.
道德
Morality, ethics.
登记
To register, to enter one's name.
登记
To register, to enter one's name.
的确
Indeed, really.
的确
Indeed, really.
地理
Geography.
地理
Geography.
地震
Earthquake.
地震
Earthquake.
电池
Battery cell.
电池
Battery cell.
动画片
Animated cartoon.
动画片
Animated cartoon.
堆
Heap, pack, pile.
堆
heap, pack, pile.
对待，
To treat, to adopt a certain attitude towards.
对待，
To treat, to adopt a certain attitude towards.
对手，
Opponent, rival.
对手，
Opponent, rival.
对象，
Target, object.
对象，
Target, object.
吨，
Metric ton.
吨，
Metric ton.
朵，
Used for flowers and clouds.
朵，
Used for flowers and clouds.
恶劣，
Bad, vile.
恶劣，
Bad, vile.
发抖，
To tremble, to shiver.
发抖，
To tremble, to shiver.
发挥，
To bring into play, to give rein to.
发挥，
To bring into play, to give rein to.
发言，
To speak, to make a speech.
发言，
To speak, to make a speech.
翻，
To turn, over.
翻，
To turn, over.
繁荣，
Prosperous, thriving.
繁荣，
Prosperous, thriving.
反复，
Repeatedly, over and over again.
反复，
Repeatedly, over and over again.
反应，
To respond, to react.
反应，
To respond, to react.
反正，
Anyway, no matter what.
反正，
Anyway, no matter what.
范围，
Scope, range.
范围，
Scope, range.
妨碍，
To hinder, to impede.
妨碍，
To hinder, to impede.
肥皂，
Soap.
肥皂，
Soap.
废，
Waste, useless.
废，
Waste, useless.
奋斗，
To fight, to struggle, to strive.
奋斗，
To fight, to struggle, to strive.
风景，
Scenery view.
风景，
Scenery view.
风险，
Risk.
风险，
Risk.
否认，
To deny, to disavow.
否认，
To deny, to disavow.
妇女，
Woman.
妇女，
Woman.
改革，
To reform.
改革，
To reform.
改善，
To improve, to make sth better.
改善，
To improve, to make sth better.
盖，
To cover, lid, cover.
盖，
To cover, lid, cover.
概括，
Brief and to the point, to summarize, to sum up.
概括，
Brief and to the point, to summarize, to sum up.
概念，
Concept, notion.
概念，
Concept, notion.
干脆，
Simply, just.
干脆，
Simply, just.
干燥，
dry, arid,
干燥，
dry, arid.
赶快，
At once, hurriedly,
赶快，
at once, hurriedly.
感想，
Impressions, thoughts,
感想，
impressions, thoughts.
钢铁，
Steel,
钢铁，
steel.
搞，
Followed by a complement, to produce a certain effect or result.
搞，
Followed by a complement, to produce a certain effect or result.
个性，
Individual character, personality.
个性，
Individual character, personality.
根，
Root,
根，
root.
根本，
Often used in the negative, at all, simply.
根本，
Often used in the negative, at all, simply.
工厂，
Factory,
工厂，
factory.
工业，
Industry,
工业，
industry.
公布，
To announce, to make public.
公布，
To announce, to make public.
公开，
To make known to the public open.
公开，
To make known to the public open.
公寓，
Apartment, flat.
公寓，
Apartment, flat.
贡献，
Contribution to contribute, to devote.
贡献，
Contribution to contribute, to devote.
沟通，
To communicate.
沟通，
To communicate.
构成，
To compose, to form, to pose.
构成，
To compose, to form, to pose.
鼓舞，
To encourage, to inspire.
鼓舞，
To encourage, to inspire.
鼓掌，
To applaud.
鼓掌，
To applaud.
乖，
Obedient, well-behaved.
乖，
Obedient, well-behaved.
观察，
To observe, to watch.
观察，
To observe, to watch.
观点，
Idea, opinion.
观点，
Idea, opinion.
观念，
Mentality, concept.
观念，
Mentality, concept.
管子，
Tube, pipe.
管子，
Tube, pipe.
冠军，
Champion, first prize winner.
冠军，
Champion, first prize winner.
光滑，
Smooth, glossy.
光滑，
Smooth, glossy.
光明，
Bright, promising.
光明，
Bright, promising.
广场，
Square, plaza.
广场，
Square, plaza.
归纳，
To infer, to sum up.
归纳，
To infer, to sum up.
规矩，
rule, established practice.
规矩，
Rule, established practice.
滚，
To roll, to tumble.
滚，
To roll, to tumble.
过分，
Excessive.
过分，
Excessive.
行业，
Trade, profession, industry.
行业，
Trade, profession, industry.
合理，
Reasonable.
合理，
Reasonable.
和平，
Peaceful.
和平，
Peaceful.
核心，
Core, kernel.
核心，
Core, kernel.
后果，
Consequence, aftermath.
后果，
Consequence, aftermath.
蝴蝶，
Butterfly.
蝴蝶，
Butterfly.
怀念，
To miss, to feel nostalgic.
怀念，
To miss, to feel nostalgic.
缓解，
To alleviate, to ease up.
缓解，
To alleviate, to ease up.
幻想，
Fantasy, illusion.
幻想，
Fantasy, illusion.
慌张，
Flurried, flustered.
慌张，
Flurried, flustered.
灰，
Dust gray.
灰，
Dust gray.
灰心，
Discouraged.
灰心，
Discouraged.
恢复，
To recover, to regain.
恢复，
To recover, to regain.
火柴，
Match, for producing a flame, etc.
火柴，
Match, for producing a flame, etc.
肌肉，
Muscle.
肌肉，
Muscle.
基本，
Basically, on the whole.
基本，
Basically, on the whole.
及格，
To pass an exam.
及格，
To pass an exam.
及，
To squeeze out, to push out.
及，
To squeeze out, to push out.
记录，
Record, note to record.
记录，
Record, note to record.
记录，
Record, note to record, to note down.
记录，
Record, note to record, to note down.
纪律，
Discipline, rule.
纪律，
Discipline, rule.
寂寞，
Lonely.
寂寞，
Lonely.
家务，
Household duties.
家务，
Household duties.
家乡，
Hometown, native place.
家乡，
Hometown, native place.
假如，
If, in case.
假如，
If, in case.
假设，
To suppose, to assume.
假设，
To suppose, to assume.
价值，
value,
价值、
value,
艰巨、
arduous, formidable,
艰巨、
arduous, formidable,
捡、
to pick up, to collect,
捡、
to pick up, to collect,
剪刀、
scissors,
剪刀、
scissors,
简历、
resume, CV,
简历、
resume, CV,
简直、
simply, virtually,
简直、
simply, virtually,
建立、
to build, to establish,
建立、
to build, to establish,
建设、
to build, to construct,
建设、
to build, to construct,
健身、
to keep fit, to work out,
健身、
to keep fit, to work out,
讲座、
lecture,
讲座、
lecture,
酱油、
soy sauce,
酱油、
soy sauce,
交换、
to exchange, to interchange,
交换、
to exchange, to interchange,
交往、
to associate, to contact,
交往、
to associate, to contact,
浇、
to water, to pour, liquid on something,
浇、
to water, to pour, liquid on something,
狡猾、
crafty, cunning,
狡猾、
crafty, cunning,
教练、
coach, instructor,
教练、
coach, instructor,
教训、
lesson, moral,
教训、
lesson, moral,
阶段、
stage, phase,
阶段、
stage, phase,
接触、
to contact, to get in touch with,
接触、
to contact, to get in touch with,
接近、
to approach, to be close to,
接近、
to approach, to be close to,
结合、
to combine, to integrate,
结合、
to combine, to integrate,
届、
session, year, class,
届、
session, year, class,
尽快、
as soon as possible,
尽快、
as soon as possible,
尽量、
to the best of one's abilities, to the greatest extent,
尽量、
to the best of one's abilities, to the greatest extent,
紧急、
urgent, emergent,
紧急、
urgent, emergent,
谨慎、
cautious, prudent,
谨慎、
cautious, prudent,
进步、
to make progress, to improve,
进步、
to make progress, to improve,
经典、
classics, classical,
经典、
classics, classical,
经商、
to do business, to engage in trade,
经商、
to do business, to engage in trade,
酒吧，
bar, for drinks.
酒吧，
bar, for drinks.
橘子，
tangerine,
橘子，
tangerine.
巨大，
huge, tremendous,
巨大，
huge, tremendous.
具体，
specific, detailed,
具体，
specific, detailed.
据说，
It is said reputedly.
据说，
It is said reputedly.
决赛，
final, final match.
决赛，
final, final match.
角色，
role part,
角色，
role part.
均匀，
even, well distributed,
均匀，
even, well distributed.
开放，
to open to the public,
开放，
to open to the public.
开水，
boiled water,
开水，
boiled water.
砍，
to cut, to chop, to fell,
砍，
to cut, to chop, to fell.
看不起，
to look down upon, to despise,
看不起，
to look down upon, to despise.
可怕，
terrible, dreadful,
可怕，
terrible, dreadful.
克服，
to overcome, to conquer,
克服，
to overcome, to conquer.
刻苦，
hardworking, assiduous,
刻苦，
hardworking, assiduous.
客观，
objective,
客观，
objective.
空闲，
leisurely, free,
空闲，
leisurely, free.
控制，
to control, to take command of,
控制，
to control, to take command of.
口味，
taste, flavor,
口味，
taste, flavor.
库，
storehouse, bank,
库，
storehouse, bank.
夸，
to praise,
夸，
to praise.
夸张，
exaggerated,
夸张，
exaggerated.
宽，
wide, broad,
宽，
wide, broad.
狂，
wildly, unrestrainedly,
狂，
wildly, unrestrainedly.
昆虫，
insect,
昆虫，
insect.
扩大，
to enlarge, to expand, to broaden,
扩大，
to enlarge, to expand, to broaden.
朗读，
to read aloud,
朗读，
to read aloud.
劳驾，
to trouble somebody, to do something,
劳驾，
to trouble somebody, to do something.
老板，
boss, employer,
老板，
boss, employer.
乐观，
optimistic,
乐观，
Optimistic.
冷淡，
Cold indifferent.
冷淡，
Cold indifferent.
离，
Pair.
离，
Pair.
理由，
Reason ground.
理由，
Reason ground.
力量，
Strength capability.
力量，
Strength capability.
利润，
Profit.
利润，
Profit.
利益，
Benefit interest.
利益，
Benefit interest.
利用，
To utilize to make use of.
利用，
To utilize to make use of.
恋爱，
Romantic, love.
恋爱，
Romantic, love.
了不起，
Great, amazing.
了不起，
Great, amazing.
领域，
Field, domain, realm.
领域，
Field, domain, realm.
陆续，
One after another in succession.
陆续，
One after another in succession.
录取，
To enroll, to admit.
录取，
To enroll, to admit.
逻辑，
Logic.
逻辑，
Logic.
落后，
To fall behind, to lag behind.
落后，
To fall behind, to lag behind.
冒险，
To venture, to have an adventure.
冒险，
To venture, to have an adventure.
媒体，
Media, mass media.
媒体，
Media, mass media.
煤炭，
Coal.
煤炭，
Coal.
梦想，
Dream to dream.
梦想，
Dream to dream.
秘密，
Secret.
秘密，
Secret.
密切，
Close, intimate.
密切，
Close, intimate.
面对，
To face, to confront.
面对，
To face, to confront.
面积，
Area, space.
面积，
Area, space.
面临，
To face, to confront.
面临，
To face, to confront.
敏感，
Sensitive, susceptible.
敏感，
Sensitive, susceptible.
名牌，
Famous brand.
名牌，
Famous brand.
明确，
Clear and definite, explicit.
明确，
Clear and definite, explicit.
命运，
Fate, destiny.
命运，
Fate, destiny.
模糊，
Blurred, indistinct, vague.
模糊，
Blurred, indistinct, vague.
陌生，
Strange, unfamiliar.
陌生，
Strange, unfamiliar.
某，
Some, certain.
某
some certain,
木头
wood timber,
木头
wood timber,
目标
goal objective,
目标
goal objective,
难怪
to be understandable, to be reasonable,
难怪
to be understandable, to be reasonable,
难免
hard to avoid,
难免
hard to avoid,
内部
inside interior inner part,
内部
inside interior inner part,
嫩
soft tender,
嫩
soft tender,
能干
capable,
能干
capable,
能源
energy resource,
能源
energy resource,
嗯
used to indicate positive response,
嗯
used to indicate positive response,
年代
decade of a century,
年代
decade of a century,
年纪
age,
年纪
age,
念
to study,
念
to study,
农业
agriculture,
农业
agriculture,
偶然
accidental by chance,
偶然
accidental by chance,
培训
to train,
培训
to train,
培养
to foster to train,
培养
to foster to train,
赔偿
to compensate to indemnify,
赔偿
to compensate to indemnify,
佩服
to admire,
佩服
to admire,
批
group batch,
批
group batch,
批准
to ratify to approve,
批准
to ratify to approve,
疲劳
tired fatigued,
疲劳
tired fatigued,
片
flat and thin piece,
片
flat and thin piece,
平安
safe well,
平安
safe well,
平等
equal,
平等
equal,
平衡
balanced,
平衡
balanced,
平
to rely on the basis of,
平
to rely on the basis of,
迫切
urgent pressing eager,
迫切
urgent pressing eager,
破坏
to destroy to damage,
破坏
to destroy to damage,
期待
to look forward to,
期待
to look forward to,
期间
time period,
期间
time period.
象棋，
Chinese chess board game.
象棋，
Chinese chess board game.
棋，
Case instance.
棋，
Case instance.
汽油，
Gasoline.
汽油，
Gasoline.
谦虚，
Modest.
谦虚，
Modest.
前途，
Future prospect.
前途，
Future prospect.
强调，
To emphasize.
强调，
To emphasize.
巧妙，
Ingenious clever.
巧妙，
Ingenious clever.
切，
To cut to chop to slice.
切，
To cut to chop to slice.
亲爱，
Dear beloved.
亲爱，
Dear beloved.
青，
Greenish blue.
青，
Greenish blue.
青少年，
Youngsters teenagers.
青少年，
Youngsters teenagers.
轻易，
Easy effortless.
轻易，
Easy effortless.
清淡，
Lightly flavored and not greasy.
清淡，
Lightly flavored and not greasy.
庆祝，
To celebrate.
庆祝，
To celebrate.
取消，
To cancel to call off.
取消，
To cancel to call off.
卷，
Circle ring.
卷，
Circle ring.
全面，
All-round comprehensive.
全面，
All-round comprehensive.
劝，
To try to persuade.
劝，
To try to persuade.
缺乏，
To lack to be short of.
缺乏，
To lack to be short of.
燃烧，
To burn to combust.
燃烧，
To burn to combust.
热爱，
To love ardently.
热爱，
To love ardently.
热烈，
Enthusiastic ardent.
热烈，
Enthusiastic ardent.
热心，
Enthusiastic earnest.
热心，
Enthusiastic earnest.
人物，
Figure personage.
人物，
Figure personage.
忍不住，
Cannot help doing sth.
忍不住，
Cannot help doing sth.
日程，
Schedule.
日程，
Schedule.
日用品，
Articles of everyday use daily necessities.
日用品，
Articles of everyday use daily necessities.
色彩，
Color.
色彩，
Color.
沙漠，
Desert.
沙漠，
Desert.
沙滩，
Sand beach.
沙滩
Sand beach.
沙
Stupid, foolish.
沙
Stupid, foolish.
商品
Goods, commodity.
商品
Goods, commodity.
商务
Business affairs.
商务
Business affairs.
商业
Business, commerce.
商业
Business, commerce.
舍不得
To be unwilling to part with or give up, to grudge.
舍不得
To be unwilling to part with or give up, to grudge.
设备
Equipment, device.
设备
Equipment, device.
设施
Installation, facilities.
设施
Installation, facilities.
身材
Figure, stature.
身材
Figure, stature.
生产
To produce, to manufacture.
生产
To produce, to manufacture.
生长
To grow.
生长
To grow.
失去
To lose.
失去
To lose.
湿润
Moist, humid.
湿润
Moist, humid.
实话
Truth, true words.
实话
Truth, true words.
实践
To put into practice.
实践
To put into practice.
实用
Practical.
实用
Practical.
使劲儿
To exert oneself, to make efforts.
使劲儿
To exert oneself, to make efforts.
事先
Beforehand, in advance.
事先
Beforehand, in advance.
收获
Gain.
收获
Gain.
手续
Procedure.
手续
Procedure.
受伤
To be hurt, to be injured.
受伤
To be hurt, to be injured.
梳子
Comb.
梳子
Comb.
输入
To input.
输入
To input.
熟练
Skilled, practiced.
熟练
Skilled, practiced.
属于
To belong to.
属于
To belong to.
数据
Data.
数据
Data.
摔倒
To fall down, to tumble.
摔倒
To fall down, to tumble.
丝毫
Slightest, at all.
丝毫
Slightest, at all.
私人
Private.
私人
Private.
思考
To think deeply, to ponder.
思考
To think deeply, to ponder.
思想，
thought thinking,
思想，
thought thinking.
随身，
To carry take, with one, personally.
随身，
To carry take, with one, personally.
损失，
To lose.
损失，
To lose.
缩短，
To shorten.
缩短，
To shorten.
烫，
To scald, to burn very hot, scalding.
烫，
To scald, to burn very hot, scalding.
逃避，
To escape, to evade.
逃避，
To escape, to evade.
特色，
Characteristic, distinctive feature.
特色，
Characteristic, distinctive feature.
特殊，
Special, particular.
特殊，
Special, particular.
特征，
Feature, characteristic.
特征，
Feature, characteristic.
疼爱，
To love dearly.
疼爱，
To love dearly.
提倡，
To advocate, to encourage.
提倡，
To advocate, to encourage.
提问，
To ask a question.
提问，
To ask a question.
题目，
Title.
题目，
Title.
体会，
Feeling, understanding.
体会，
Feeling, understanding.
体贴，
Thoughtful, considerate.
体贴，
Thoughtful, considerate.
体现，
To manifest, to reflect.
体现，
To manifest, to reflect.
体验，
To feel and experience.
体验，
To feel and experience.
天空，
Sky.
天空，
Sky.
痛苦，
Painful, suffering.
痛苦，
Painful, suffering.
痛快，
To one's heart's content.
痛快，
To one's heart's content.
投资，
To invest, to fund.
投资，
To invest, to fund.
透明，
Transparent.
透明，
Transparent.
退休，
To retire.
退休，
To retire.
外交，
Diplomacy.
外交，
Diplomacy.
完美，
Perfect, flawless.
完美，
Perfect, flawless.
完善，
To make perfect, to improve perfect.
完善，
To make perfect, to improve perfect.
万一，
In case, if by any chance.
万一，
In case, if by any chance.
王子，
Prince.
王子，
Prince.
网络，
Network, web.
网络，
Network, web.
威胁，
To threaten.
威胁
To threaten.
违反
To violate, to go against.
违反
To violate, to go against.
唯一
Only, sole.
唯一
Only, sole.
未必
May not, not necessarily.
未必
May not, not necessarily.
温柔
Gentle.
温柔
Gentle.
文具
Stationary.
文具
Stationary.
文明
Civilization.
文明
Civilization.
闻
To smell.
闻
To smell.
闻
To kiss.
闻
To kiss.
无数
Countless, innumerable.
无数
Countless, innumerable.
无所谓
To not care, to not mind, to not take seriously.
无所谓
To not care, to not mind, to not take seriously.
物理
Physics.
物理
Physics.
吸取
To absorb, to draw.
吸取
To absorb, to draw.
吸收
To absorb, to take in.
吸收
To absorb, to take in.
系
Department, of a university.
系
Department, of a university.
系统
System.
系统
System.
下载
To download.
下载
To download.
鲜艳
Bright colored.
鲜艳
Bright colored.
显然
Obvious, evident.
显然
Obvious, evident.
相似
Similar.
相似
Similar.
想念
To recall with longing, to miss.
想念
To recall with longing, to miss.
消极
Passive, inactive.
消极
Passive, inactive.
消失
To disappear, to vanish.
消失
To disappear, to vanish.
效率
Efficiency.
效率
Efficiency.
歇
To rest, to take a rest.
歇
To rest, to take a rest.
心脏
Heart.
心脏
Heart.
行动
Action, activity.
行动
Action, activity.
行人
Pedestrian.
行人
Pedestrian.
幸亏
Fortunately.
幸亏
Fortunately.
幸运
Lucky, fortunate.
幸运
Lucky, fortunate.
胸
chest, bosom,
胸
chest, bosom.
休闲
To have leisure, to relax.
休闲
To have leisure, to relax.
虚心
Open-minded, modest.
虚心
Open-minded, modest.
押金
Cash pledge, deposit.
押金
Cash pledge, deposit.
延长
To prolong, to lengthen.
延长
To prolong, to lengthen.
严肃
Serious, solemn.
严肃
Serious, solemn.
养
To raise, to keep, to grow.
养
To raise, to keep, to grow.
腰
Waist,
腰
waist.
一旦
Once, when.
一旦
Once, when.
一律
All, without exception.
一律
All, without exception.
一致
Identical, unanimous.
一致
Identical, unanimous.
遗憾
Regretful, deep regret.
遗憾
Regretful, deep regret.
疑问
Question, doubt.
疑问
Question, doubt.
义务
Duty, obligation.
义务
Duty, obligation.
因素
Factor,
因素
factor.
印刷
To print, books, newspapers, etc.
印刷
To print, books, newspapers, etc.
迎接
To receive, to greet, to welcome.
迎接
To receive, to greet, to welcome.
营业
To do business, to operate.
营业
To do business, to operate.
应付
To handle, to cope with.
应付
To handle, to cope with.
硬
Rigidly, mechanically.
硬
Rigidly, mechanically.
拥挤
Crowded, congested.
拥挤
Crowded, congested.
勇气
Courage,
勇气
courage.
用功
Hardworking, diligent.
用功
Hardworking, diligent.
优势
Superiority, advantage.
优势
Superiority, advantage.
犹豫
Hesitant,
犹豫
hesitant.
油炸
To deep fry,
油炸
to deep fry.
游览
To visit, to tour.
游览
To visit, to tour.
有利
Beneficial, advantageous.
有利
Beneficial, advantageous.
娱乐
Entertainment to amuse, to entertain.
娱乐，
Entertainment to amuse, to entertain.
与其，
Would rather, rather than.
与其，
Would rather, rather than.
预防，
To guard against, to prevent.
预防，
To guard against, to prevent.
元旦，
New Year's Day.
元旦，
New Year's Day.
员工，
Staff, employee.
员工，
Staff, employee.
原料，
Raw material.
原料，
Raw material.
原则，
Principal tenet.
原则，
Principal tenet.
圆，
Round circular.
圆，
Round circular.
运气，
Luck, fortune.
运气，
Luck, fortune.
运输，
To transport, to convey.
运输，
To transport, to convey.
在乎，
To care, to mind.
在乎，
To care, to mind.
在于，
To lie in, to consist in.
在于，
To lie in, to consist in.
赞成，
To agree with, to approve of.
赞成，
To agree with, to approve of.
责备，
To blame, to reproach.
责备，
To blame, to reproach.
摘，
Narrow.
摘，
Narrow.
展开，
To launch, to set off, to carry out.
展开，
To launch, to set off, to carry out.
涨，
To rise, to go up.
涨，
To rise, to go up.
掌握，
To take charge of, to control.
掌握，
To take charge of, to control.
照常，
As usual.
照常，
As usual.
珍惜，
To cherish, to treasure.
珍惜，
To cherish, to treasure.
真实，
Real, actual.
真实，
Real, actual.
征求，
To seek, to ask for.
征求，
To seek, to ask for.
争，
To open one's eyes.
争，
To open one's eyes.
整齐，
Tidy, orderly.
整齐，
Tidy, orderly.
政府，
Government.
政府，
Government.
支，
To prop up, to support.
支，
To prop up, to support.
直，
Continuously, straight.
直，
Continuously, straight.
指导，
To guide, to instruct.
指导，
To guide, to instruct.
指挥，
To command, to direct.
指挥，
To command, to direct.
至于，
As for, as to.
至于，
as for as to,
制作，
to make to produce,
制作，
to make to produce,
秩序，
order orderly state,
秩序，
order orderly state,
中旬，
middle 10 days of a month,
中旬，
middle 10 days of a month,
种类，
kind category,
种类，
kind category,
重量，
weight,
重量，
weight,
逐步，
gradually step by step,
逐步，
gradually step by step,
主观，
subjective,
主观，
subjective,
主题，
theme subject,
主题，
theme subject,
主席，
chairperson,
主席，
chairperson,
主张，
to hold to advocate view stand,
主张，
to hold to advocate view stand,
煮，
to boil to stew,
煮，
to boil to stew,
抓，
to grab to seize,
抓，
to grab to seize,
抓紧，
to firmly grasp,
抓紧，
to firmly grasp,
转变，
to change to transform,
转变，
to change to transform,
装饰，
decoration,
装饰，
decoration,
状况，
condition situation state,
状况，
condition situation state,
追求，
to pursue to go after,
追求，
to pursue to go after,
咨询，
to consult to seek advice,
咨询，
to consult to seek advice,
资金，
capital fund,
资金，
capital fund,
资源，
resource,
资源，
resource,
紫，
purple,
紫，
purple,
自从，
ever since,
自从，
ever since,
自动，
voluntarily spontaneously,
自动，
voluntarily spontaneously,
自豪，
proud,
自豪，
proud,
自觉，
conscious on one's own initiative,
自觉，
conscious on one's own initiative,
自私，
selfish,
自私，
selfish,
自愿，
to volunteer, to do sth,
自愿，
to volunteer, to do sth,
总算，
at last, finally,
总算，
at last, finally,
总之，
in short, in brief,
总之，
in short, in brief,
组织，
To organize.
组织，
To organize.
最初，
First earliest.
最初，
First earliest.
尊敬，
To respect, to esteem.
尊敬，
To respect, to esteem.
遵守，
To abide by, to observe.
遵守，
To abide by, to observe.
作文，
Essay, composition.
作文，
Essay, composition.